Hello.
Hello. Good evening. Good evening. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. I've had a busy. Oh, I can't. I'm trying to do two things at once, and it's not working.
I know.
Okay,
Are
wrong
you
button.
trying? Are you trying to type your name and chew gum at the same time?
And that's it. Pat your head and rub your belly. Oh
Warm your
gosh.
heart and warm your heart and pet your soul at the same time,
Oh, is that how? I
wherever
like
that is.
that. Yeah.
Depends on where you put your soul. Mine moves around.
So there's not one specific location. It
You know what? There's a lot of
moves.
theories about where it is, and in context of what we're talking about immediately at the moment, a percentage of it is with you, physically near your body, but it's actually around you more rather than inside.
Yes,
And the other percentage is out in the ethers.
that's what I've heard. Yeah,
Yeah,
because you might have more than one
existence going
physicality
on.
going on.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
How
Angela is here. Good evening, Angela.
are you?
Yay. Good to see you. We'll do a little bit of intro stuff as people come on.
Yes.
And Iris and I would like to say welcome to the Eyes of Indigo show once again. We are grateful. Thank you to our regulars who are slowly popping in, I'm sure. And if you are new to the show, new to the channel, thank you. Welcome. And if you want to know more, hi, Randy. There you go. What's up? We're going to talk about what is it? Truth versus fact. That's what's up.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
But if you want to know some truth that's also fact about Iris and me, and you're new to the show, please feel free to go back to episode 1, easily found on the YouTube version of this. We can be found on Facebook as well. But go back to episode 1 and find out our credentials and our background in that episode,
Or lack thereof.
which we found a lot of during this discussion, or the lag thereof qualifier came a lot in my research.
Yeah.
Apparently it did for you too. But you can also find us where else, Iris?
Spotify and iTunes and other your favorite podcast aggregators. We're popping up all over the place, and I still need to work on my podcast uploading, but I'm getting there. But the
Busy
early
time.
shows are there. Yeah, it's just been crazy lately. And
It's graduation time at school, so your job is
oh, we're
busy
done
right
with
now.
that. I can't. I wish I could use that as an excuse, but no, I can't. I can't use that
You're
as an excuse.
gearing up. You're
It's
gearing up.
48-hour film project time. That's where my time's going.
Tell us a little bit about that. Tell our audience what else you do.
I
It's
am.
very intriguing.
Yeah, I've been the city producer for 12 years for the Greensboro 48-hour film project, which is one of about 120 cities around the
Ooh.
world that
Ooh.
participate. And every city has a competition, and people form teams and they register their team. And we pick one weekend where everybody comes together on Friday evening and they draw genres out of a hat, or we do it virtually some way with the COVID crap going on. And they get their genres. So every team gets different genres. And then right before 7 o'clock, they're given a prop, a character, and a line of dialogue. And they take those three things and their genre, and they run off and create a film, write it, produce it, edit it, and turn it back in 48 hours later. And then we show them, and we have judges, and the best film overall for the city goes to the international competition, which is Filmapalooza, and then the top 12 from there go to the Cannes Film Festival. So,
ooh, that's cool. Jim Bradley gave you a compliment. You do an amazing job as the city producer. Can't wait for this year's competition. Yay!
Yeah, thank you, Jen. In fact, I saw her this afternoon. We're looking at she's been a volunteer of mine for years, and I love having her on hand because she's a big help. But we were scoping out. We do a best of. So for the awards show, when we know who all's winning awards, we do a screening of those films that won awards.
I've been to one of those, and they're fun.
Yeah. And so we're trying to we're setting up one that's going to be in an outdoor theater.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. So she and I went to go see it to kind of map things out, and I've got to, before I can really make big announcements, I got to figure out what the ticket prices are going to be and that sort of thing, and how we want to sell tickets. Yeah.
How long have you been doing 48-hour project?
12 years.
Ooh.
And I've coordinated 15 events because we also do the horror project. 15 or 16. Yeah, we do horror. The horror project just focuses on horror films, and we usually do that in October.
October, yeah.
Yeah, and so they still draw genres out of a hat, but it's like it might be comedy horror or sci-fi horror, or it might be
old Western horror, or
or those the mad scientist or disease or something
anime,
like that.
Yeah, or whatever, artificial. Yeah. Very cool. Thank you for so your 48-hour, that happens in the summer like this?
Yes, it's in 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So it's the event, and so I'm in the process of promoting and trying to organize the screenings and get all the behind the scenes stuff taken care of. So and it's crazy because part of it's virtual, most of it's virtual, and so it's just crazy time. I'm just like, ugh. And then I know you're crazy because
it's June. It's wedding time. Photography and weddings. That I do. All over the place. A rap kind of slid out there.
Talk about bells.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I got to come up with my own video rap for a commercial on us or something. But I don't even post my photography anymore. That's how busy it's gotten. For my friends that are on here that usually keep up with y'all have been sweet over the years. A lot of people watch my photography that I post 2 or 3 times a week because that's about as fast as I can belt it out and still have quality. And I haven't been posting it. 2 reasons. 1, I ain't got time. I'm too busy. 2, when in the spring, when I started doing that, when the business started to come up, beach in the spring, I started doing that, and every other posting, Facebook took away at random. It just disappeared after a couple of hours. So I was like, I'm not going to mess with that. So I've been sending previews to the couples directly instead of messing with Facebook altogether. So now I'm just randomly posting video shorts, slideshow shorts.
Yeah.
When I have time to whip together a slideshow with some music. But I'm up to my eyeballs in wedding yaya. And Randy commented, so how are you getting the ceremonies done with the storms? Ooh, trade secret.
Lightning rods.
Rides of God. We got him, baby.
That's what he said.
And that's the truth. That's a fact. Hit it.
You handle the truth.
Amen, sister.
Sorry, totally. Woo!
So how do we handle storms is really easy. We wait 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It rains at the beach for 5 or 10 minutes at the most, and then it moves on. So literally we just wait 5 minutes and everything's hunky-dory. We have a less than 1% out of over 2,000 weddings have been rescheduled due to rain or weather. And those are all because of hurricanes,
Wow.
which
Hi,
has
Lisa.
only happened 3 times since we've been here. Yeah.
Wow.
Wash hands. Hi, y'all. Lisa Clark Klein is back with us. Hello. Glad to see you guys here. So,
Which I want to mention too, because I've been popping up the text. Some people are watching this from Facebook. Some people are watching this from YouTube. So if we quote somebody's question, which we do, because we're also going to turn this into a audio podcast, so we try to read everything that's on the screen. When we do that, or if we show it up on the screen and you're going, how come they're not on where I'm looking? It's because, we can tell some people are from Facebook and some people are YouTube, and we get to see both sides, all of them. So, yeah. And we do want people to comment. We do want people to ask questions. We want input. So if something we're talking about, it's not just us here, put your 2 cents worth in or nickel and dime, whatever. 2 cents. Yeah. So, and any other, let's see, I think that we covered.
That's it for housekeeping.
Yeah. Okay.
Where else we are and who we are.
So,
she's ours, and Margo. Yeah.
Okay. And so today's topic, like Margo said, truth versus facts. What is the truth? What are facts? What do we really know? What are lies? What about deception? And so we're going to kind of toss all of that stuff around. And we got lots of different ways of looking at it. And I've got lots of visuals as we need them. So, Margo, I'm not quite sure where to start with that. Would you like for me to look at the definitions of truth? And
assuming that the definitions are true.
That's it. Yeah. Which was interesting.
While I was doing research, I thought about that too. I'm like, really? What is truth is becoming very nebulous lately.
Yeah.
But we have to start somewhere. So let us start with, how did we get into this? If you don't mind, just in real fast summary, what I recall is lots of times people want to argue about what is fact versus fiction. And that's actually pretty clear. All right, there's nothing amazing about that. But then Iris and I noticed separately in our lives, came together in conversation, that people were often equating fact and truth as interchangeable, as being definitions of each other. And we find that to be incorrect.
I love Randy just said conspiracy theory. Wait 6 months and it's fact.
That's happening a lot right now.
Yeah, and not a lot of people are happy with that.
Theory, no, they're not. But conspiracy theory is now proven conspiracy fact over and over, especially with the information coming out about Dr. F. Popular, infamous guy. But let's go back to our subject at hand that applies everywhere. Iris, if you don't mind, show people the definition of fact and then the thesaurus about how the internet treats these two concepts of fact and truth.
Fact is result of who wins the war. That's good, Lisa Klein.
Yeah, Lisa Klein. Yes, that's absolute. That's the truth.
You can't handle the truth. No, okay. I can't pull him up at the same time. Did you ask for truth or fact? I can't remember.
Both of them.
Okay. Well, this is a fact one, and I'll pull the truth up in a minute. So I pulled these from dictionary.com and thesaurus.com, which are same site. And the facts, fact says something that actually exists, reality, and truth.
Both of those, reality and truth, are neither one of them are necessarily facts.
Right. So the dictionary got it wrong, and we know it because we're telling you the truth. And But, and then it goes on, it says, a truth known by actual experience or observation. It's like, so fact is dancing all around truth on this. It's like they haven't, whoever wrote this didn't quite get it nailed. But
they didn't quite look it down. But look over in the thesaurus part real quick, if you don't mind, over in the red, orange, yellow.
Let me go back.
Push a few buttons.
Yeah, I never can.
Bad dictionary. Randy says bad dictionary. Absolutely.
Okay, fact. There we go.
So some of the words in that are used as
fact.
Yeah, they're what the synonyms that are synonyms to the fact. Gospel truth is one of them. And was there another one in here?
There was gospel truth and there was naked truth.
Okay. Yep. Elsewhere, it's all alphabetical. All right. Yeah. So naked truth is actually pretty close, if you ask me. If you want to define what is with the qualifier of naked, meaning with no enhancement. Or is it
no enhancement or
no ornament, no qualifiers, no nothing?
What truth is without qualifiers?
Give me a second.
When you say naked truth, isn't that an oxymoron?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're onto something there. I think it is an oxymoron. It's kind of like being at the very end. There's only one end.
I mean, even on TV, they're calling naked now when a girl's got her bra and panties on. Oh, she's naked. I mean,
y'all are in for an ugly surprise. Well, an interesting surprise. Not ugly, but very interesting. If y'all think that's naked.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good example. I think naked truth might actually be, although there are nebulous truths and there are abstract truths that you'd have to qualify. Hi, Deborah. Always good to see you. She checked in. Naked truth equals stripped bare, according to Randy Hobbs' comment. Absolutely. It's another way to look at it. Because there are some truths that are more decorated, such as religious truths.
Oh,
those, they're known for being
gilded.
Gilded. Okay, now you're talking Catholic.
Hominy and grits. I'm sorry. If anybody's Catholic, I don't mean to offend. I have fun.
None of what we're saying is meant to be offensive. It's all just trying to shed some light on an otherwise multicolored world that can also get dark at occasion. Angela says the closest synonyms, according to them, are in red, with words less close being yellow, orange being in between. Thank you. The color, she explaining the color coding in the columns.
So you want me to look at truth now, since we looked at?
Yeah, let's pop up truth, and with Angela's enlightenment there, that
thank you for
clarity, that helps a lot.
I mean, I knew that, but I've looked at it for so many times, I forgot to say anything. So in truth, the true or actual state of a matter, conformity with fact or reality. Truth is a verified or indisputable fact. Now, here's another thing. Isn't that repetition? Because if something's a fact, is it not supposedly indisputable?
Yes, it is. You got another oxymoron there. An indisputable fact is repetitively inconsistent.
Redundant. Yeah.
That's the word.
And then, and so then truth, of course, I love this. The synonym is truthfulness.
Synonym is truthfulness. Yeah, I saw that one in there too.
And fact is also another synonym, and they're not synonyms.
They're in the ballpark, but they're not the same.
I mean, should we write them? We should send them a copy of our podcast when we're done.
Y'all need to try again and listen to this first.
Yeah.
Randy had a couple of adjectives in here too. Essential and embellished. There are embellished truths versus perhaps an essential truth. Mm-hmm. An essential truth being most 3D humans need air and water to survive. An embellished truth would be that, let's pick on the Catholics a little bit more. In order to save your soul, you have to go to church every week and hand over some of the money. That would be an embellished truth.
No, Mommy, I didn't touch the cake.
With frosting all over your face and fingers. Ta-da. Absolutely. And Randy's jumping out there. He's ahead of us where we're going to go probably after a while. Randy says the truth may change depending on the situation. Absolutely. And Angela Nix has jumped in too. Yay! We've got a surprise to tell you about Angela later.
Yes.
Absolutely. So thank you for being here, Angela.
Yes.
Excited. So I found, is that backwards for y'all? Yeah, no, it isn't. I found a really good quote that I mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Fact.
Go, yeah, there
fact
you
is
go.
indistinguishable? Yeah, indisputable.
Indisputable. Truth is acceptable.
Is acceptable. Isn't that interesting? Truth is acceptable. So what's my truth may not be your truth, but that doesn't stop it from being a truth because I find it acceptable. If you don't find it acceptable, it's no longer a truth to you. Context. Once again, context. I think you have some cartoons about that.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like,
That's all right. Mercury retrograde. Yeah, communication does that.
There's one. You've got a letter on the ground.
A zigzaggy letter. And two people, one at the bottom and one at the top. And one is saying it's an M.
The other says it's a W.
And this is a running theme. I think you got another couple in there about the nebulous quality of truth. There's another letter.
And this is a letter that has a line and a little bubble on one side of it. And one guy's seeing it as a Q. And the other is seeing it as a
letter B. As in boy. So.
Sesame Street would just be so confused.
They would.
And then
the argument becomes who's right and who's wrong. And eventually, you see another version. There's a digit on the ground with a loop and a hook. One guy says it's a 9. The other guy says it is a
6.
There you go.
And and then I'm going to show this. Here's the same, it's not the same drawing, but it's the same concept with the 6 or the 9. Just because you are right does not mean I am wrong. You just haven't seen life from my side. And hello, Angela says she saw a P earlier.
She saw a letter P.
Yeah.
from the Q and the B. Yet another perspective that is also correct. Yeah. Yeah, another truth.
It's like an accident. 10 people can watch it and see it's 10 different things. But what was funny about this was I found that, and then I found this. And I'm going to make this full screen. It's the same thing, and somebody has marked out that just because you're right does not mean I'm wrong. And this person says, he writes in, but one of those people is wrong. Someone painted a 6 or a 9. They need to back up and orient themselves, see if there are any other numbers to align with. Maybe there's a driveway or a building to face, or they can ask someone who actually knows. People having an uninformed opinion about something they don't understand and proclaiming their opinion as being equally valid as facts is what is ruining the world. No one wants to do any research. They just want to be right.
Amen, sister.
So we have, it's like, and people are declaring, I'm right, you're wrong. That's all there is to it. I don't care, and I don't want to look at things from your side.
Right. They're not interested in information or facts. They're interested in being assuaged.
And
being,
I know
they
for
want
me,
they're trying to stay inside their box.
yeah,
Comfort zone. Comfort zone.
exactly. And can you
Ego.
imagine?
Yes,
Yeah.
Randy.
And
Randy's
can you
on it.
imagine? There are some people that so believe that their version is a 9 or a W or a P or a Q, that if you physically turned it around for them to see from your perspective, you're not asking them to move around. You're just saying, stay where you are and let me show it. They would either deny or their whole world would fall apart. They would just crumble and go, no, la 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 la. With their fingers in their ears.
Randy commented, go ahead and post up his last comment. Randy
Yes.
named it Bang.
Cognitive dissonance. Yes. Yay, Randy.
You guys are awesome. You guys are right on the same page, for sure. So it become where we went to, as you can still tell, is we're still going round and round about what is fact and what is truth, because they tend to overlap. And interesting.
You can't handle the truth.
We need to get one of those buzzers and put it and sew them into a T-shirt for Iris so that she can hit the button whenever.
I know.
Let somebody, let the sound bite scream out at anybody she wants to. I used to have a shirt that sang "Happy Birthday," so
be like an air horn, you know. I mean, I can do an air horn. Hey, and I can make it a lot louder.
Why not? But here's something funny. Some of you are aware of the comedian Ricky Gervais. Uh-huh. And we know him to be a very sarcastic and blunt and largely truthful person, political and controversial. However, he said something very intelligent as well. Comedian Ricky Gervais defined the truth as, if we took every science book and every fact and destroyed them all, in 1,000 years, they'd all be back, because all the same tests would produce the same results. And that is I think that's a fairly rational, reliable definition of what is a fact. If you
can I blow that one out of the water?
Sure, go ahead. Oh, I'd love that. Go.
Okay, well, something that's been going around is that there are so many things that we don't know about yet, that in 10, 20, 50 years, our science is going to be different. It's not going to be, we're not going to be limited to what we already know.
So what is a fact in the past may not be a fact in the future. But that doesn't change the fact that it was a fact in the past.
Right. But when he says 1,000 years, the stuff wouldn't change. Well, Ricky, guess what?
It becomes, you're right. It becomes a too sweeping of a statement.
Yeah.
For what is a fact. And we normally think of truth as more of an abstract and fact as more solid. Iris, you and I, and especially you, are slowly proving that fact is just as nebulous as truth is. It's just as ineffable. And all these other 50-cent words. 50-cent words. So, good luck with that. Got another.
Yeah, quantum.
They become quantum. Thank you. That is good clarity all the way around. Not if those in power keep hiding. Yeah. Oh, those in power that are hiding are not going to be able to do that long. No. So I want to read you something, because obviously in our society, in Western culture, truth versus fact is a common debate in religion. Not so much in spirituality, although not impossible, but there is a commentary that I wanted to read an excerpt from on a website called thecatholicthing.com. And I'm going to read you an excerpt written by James Scholl. And he writes about what he thinks is truth, and the context being what is truth relative to Jesus as Christ. And he refers to it as Christ. So the excerpt says, truth means that what is out there, a fact, is also within us. We become what it is in a knowing way. We possess it because we think we know it as truth. And unless we act on it, our knowledge of something does not change that thing which is known, or the fact, just because we know about it. It merely beholds it as it is, as is. But knowing this fact also does change us by making us more aware of the existence of something that is not ourselves. Knowledge of what is truth gives the world back to us, which I think is interesting. Knowledge of what is true gives us the world back to us. It gets deeper. Hang on.
Oh God. I
Brace
gotta get
yourself,
trouble.
Ruthie. We can debate this one all the way through.
Yeah.
So so he talks about, what did Jesus say? WWJD a little bit here.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, in this context, when you make truth a part of yourself, it doesn't change the truth, but it can change you. Interestingly enough, in this context, Christ made two memorable statements about truth. One, the truth shall set you free. Damn straight. My opinion. Number two, it's quoted as Jesus says, I am the truth. Our freedom follows truth. It does not constitute it. All right. Freedom doesn't validate truth. Truth validates freedom. We hear the expression, seeing is believing. Seeing means that if we trust the testimony of our senses to tell us the truth, but if we doubt our senses, we can only speculate about what, if anything, is out there. Many think that the problems with the modern world began with this doubt. By doing so, it lost contact with what is. I am the truth is also a fact. That's what he concludes with, James Scholl, the Catholic thing. When I first found that and read it to Iris, we both immediately came up with the same conclusion, that is extremely convoluted. And it still is. That's the third time I've read it, and it's still convoluted. And I actually watered it down a little bit. Just a little bit. I paraphrased.
Sometimes I think they just make this crap confusing just so that people will go, oh, yes. It's like,
It makes you sound more intellectual than maybe you really are, just because you read it. Yeah, just because I read it. But it's very subjective too. It's still very subjective. It's still just Mr. Scholl's opinion.
Well, and I've got a book on my shelf. If it wasn't so dusty, I'd pull it down, called The Five Gospels. And it was a research done. God, I bought this book like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I bought it because I wanted to keep it as a resource, because there were so many people that got upset about it. And I thought, oh, yeah, I got to have that. And the Five Gospels, what they get, there is a committee that meets once a year or something, and it's all these different religious figures.
Okay.
And they came together and they decided that they wanted to analyze the Gospels and all the quotes in it to see what Jesus really could have said for all the way to, they rank it. Like, yes, he probably did say this. Yeah, the probability of what and how much was made up and that sort of thing. And
were they using intuition or intellect?
They were using like records, and like they would compare like other stories and things that came from that time, and maybe somebody else's, like if you compare this gospel to that
Yeah, the
gospel
exact same
to,
quote from another person on the same timeline means it was obviously stolen. Right.
right, or well, or that it really did happen because all the gospels were passed on. The first one, Matthew, was put into writing 75 years after Jesus died.
Okay.
And that was the first one. And then the others kind of followed later on. Some of them were written way later. So when you think of, okay, this was verbally passed down until somebody wrote it down, and then of course you don't know who edited it in the process and the picking and choosing of what goes in the Bible. But what they did was they took also other historical documents, like they might have had, I don't know, I'd have to go and look to be exact, but say they had records from King Herod's court, and
Right.
Jesus was in King Herod, and he said this. Well, what
Wouldn't
does
you love to know what was taken out of the Vatican last year?
yes.
Those kinds of records that are
Exactly.
lost. No,
Yeah,
they're coming out of the Vatican. Yeah.
but it would be interesting to take the quotes that you were just mentioning and seeing what that book says about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cross reference. You know what? You might have to do that as a sidebar next time we get back together.
Yeah.
The truth shall make you free, and I am the truth. What I find interesting, it says, I am the truth. I know the phrase I am to be another word for God. So it's not actually saying Jesus is the truth. It's saying God is the truth. The great I am. So I find that interesting as a crossover too. So
yeah, well, and also, when then you get into some of the great philosophers and all, I think, therefore I am.
Oh, Nietzsche had a lot to say about this. Edgar Allan Poe had a lot to say about this. Freud and who came after Freud? Carl Jung.
Yeah.
I love Carl Jung. Jung. Awesome philosopher. He went way beyond what you learn in school.
Yeah.
Way beyond. He gets really. I mean, he's Aleister Crowley kind of cool. Yeah. Except for Crowley went to the dark side, and Jung stayed on the light side for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, what is truth? So where I started rolling out with that, and we stopped and rolled off sideways, is
sorry.
No, that's typical, and that illustrates the nature of what is truth and what is fact. Formal religion has a tendency to be overly convoluted to serve other purposes besides communicating its doctrinal, indoctrinated truth.
Well, think about it. It's propaganda so that they can entice.
Indoctrinated truth. Yes.
Yes.
It's a pretty word for propaganda.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm just gonna just plow over with the.
Yeah. Say it like it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're to get the Christians over to their side of the ballpark, they had to say, well, we'll do the same celebrations you do, and same rituals, and we'll call it something different, and look at this, and don't this is how, make it exciting, and wave the banners. And
if you're friends with me on Facebook, go see my latest post, and you can see about borrowing each other's traditions in my last very controversial.
Oh my God, do you want me to throw it up here?
If you're that brave. Those of you that are Catholic, please have a sense of humor about this.
Yeah, let me.
But pay attention, because this is only partly funny.
All right, give me just a second.
We gotta laugh at dark and we laugh at all forms of truth, dark and light. Yes. Ain't nobody sacred.
Exactly. And where did I put that? Okay, I put it in.
Did you save it in a safe place? Throw it away.
Keep it safely.
So while she's doing that, I'm going to talk about our next level of this discussion. We went to, in exploring this topic, we went to, well, then what is lying? Truth and lying. If we're going to talk about one subject, let's talk about the opposite. And that actually ties into what's posted on my Facebook.
Here it is.
You want to read the first part and I'll read the second?
Okay, this is off a Twitter account. It's called the Church of Satan, where they perform ritual human sacrifice and eat human flesh.
Church of Satan replied, and it said, "Please don't confuse us with the Catholics." If you don't know what I was talking about, go look up some of the main practices of Catholicism and the main practices of satanic ritual.
Yeah. That was
stepping on some toes right there.
I saw that and I screamed. It was so funny.
Sometimes the darkest truths are so damn funny that they're
And there
hilarious.
we go. And it's just a truth. It's not, we're not saying it's fact or
But whoever tweeted that was illustrating their truth. And for a lot of people that is true, and for some people it's not. And that's okay. So where I was going with is Iris, when we were having our discussion last week about this, Iris said, okay, so when truth and a lie, what's a lie? And we were trying to define what is a lie, and we got into, there's even a difference between what is a lie and what is a deception.
Mm-hmm.
There's nuances to that. And it comes from, a deception is not necessarily a lie. Angela liked that one.
The funny, not the lie.
The joke, the meme that came up. A deception is not necessarily a lie, although a lie is usually intended to be a deception. It's sort of like a thumb is a finger, but a finger, all digits are phalanges, but not all phalanges are a thumb. All right, so you got,
although some people think they're all
lies,
thumbs.
but only one of them is a deception. Again?
Some people think they're all thumbs. I want to roll tonight.
That was a good pun. You got a good one in there. You did good. We'll give you one.
Hey, I'll take it.
So you don't always think about that, though, in day-to-day life. You automatically assume that a deception is a lie. Not necessarily. I've seen people deceived with other truths. And Iris, you had a comment about that too, about how truth can be used to hide. No, facts. Facts can be used
to convolute
or to cover up, to make a deception.
Right, because
of the truth.
Right, and if people think that, okay, if you're given a set of facts, and I can't remember the example I used earlier. Do you?
No, I was using religious examples at the same time that you were using your examples.
If
we should have wrote that down.
I know, dang it.
Well, where I'm going with, while you think, where I'm going is you can use truths to create a deception, or you can use lies to create a deception. So both truth and lies can be used contextually the exact same way to create a third thing, which is a deception. So why are we bothering to even talk about this? Because as you can tell, we're slowly moving into almost everything can be defined as the opposite thing as well. Oh yeah, Deborah, your sister made a good point. I think of political spins on an event as a deception. Yes. And it doesn't mean that spin is necessarily a lie, but it's, Randy had a word for it, and it's embellished. An embellished truth. That's what it was. And Randy has another comment as well. So what you are now saying is what we are experiencing around us. Yes. We're actually still talking about going from 3D to third dimension, fourth dimension to fifth dimension. is truth and what is fact is now becoming more and more ineffable and a lot more nebulous.
And I like this one. There is no real truth in this world, only one's perception of it.
Absolutely. Truth becomes, there's a word for that. Truth becomes self-determining.
Yeah.
Self-determining. So I think you had one other meme up there about truth.
I've got a couple of them, honey.
Couple more in the chamber.
Yeah, facts and truth really don't have much to do with each other, and that was William Faulkner.
Now, see, I could argue that.
I could too, especially after the conversation we've had.
You first. Okay, you first.
Well, I was thinking, facts and truth don't have much to do. They do and they don't, because they are becoming more intertwined. And after the conversation we've had, it's like, yes, your truth is more based in opinion, whereas facts are, when people give facts, they think that they're giving
evidence.
But evidence can be transformed. And whether or not
evidence can be manipulated too, and from a deception.
Right. And so, if somebody I mean, I don't know, there's things where people will, I mean, even in court and stuff, people bring evidence, but is it circumstantial?
It can be refuted. Yeah.
It can be, and the same can be with other things, oh, you baked cookies today because you have a cookie sheet in the dish drainer. No, I didn't bake cookies today. Well, yes, you did, because why is the cookie sheet drainer? Well, it's because I was cleaning out from under the cabinet and I wanted to wash some things up and put them back. And
I thought of another one. My son wanted to go sledding, so he grabbed my cookie sheet and slid his ass all the way down the hill on the sled. Yeah. It was a sled for my son's snow day. Yeah.
Yeah. Or, the fact is it's a 6, or the fact is it's a 9. It's the same thing. That, yes, both are facts. And so, and each person's telling the truth about their version of the facts.
So exactly. So our society is actually heading for, and we're very much actually not even heading for, we're in the middle of the beginning of the conundrum of learning how to be compassionate and equitable to all versions of the truth, even when you don't understand the evidence for somebody else's truth. I chose my words carefully.
Yes, I noticed that.
On purpose. All right. So this becomes a huge exercise in compassion. And I've noticed in my own practices of being a life coach, of being a teacher, of being a spiritual leader, of being a personal counselor, a personal psychic, all kind of professional psychic, and business psychic, whatever, that I've noticed that the number one thing that people skip over on the way to having to learn compassion, by the way, that is a huge step to human enlightenment. If you want to be ultimately happy, another word for that process is enlightenment. Compassion learning real compassion is a huge step in that process. A lot of people miss that step, or they struggle with that step, or whatever you want to call, whatever your truth is about what you want to call that, because they skip the step about being compassionate to themselves first. If you have not forgiven yourself for any perceived transgressions, there is always going to be someone out there that you will not forgive, or that you'll react in fear, you'll react in distaste, you'll react in rejection or judgment or something. Another way to put it, someone out there will always be able to trigger you and toss
Mirror
your
to you. It's
yeah,
like a
and it's a
mirror.
mirror. Yeah, they're showing you a mirror and throw your ass all the way back into 3D no matter how long you've been 5. All right. Your family can do that to you in a heartbeat. They can trigger your ass right back into 3 real fast. So the fastest way to get out of that, which you naturally expressed just now, the contradiction of what we're dealing with. Yeah, Angela said she feels that. Yeah, thank you, Angela. To get out of that is practice compassion on yourself first. Don't worry about babysitting everybody else that's going to need your compassion sooner or later. Okay, I'm not saying forget it forever. Step 1, work on what you don't. Let me back up. It's more helpful to work on being okay with what you don't approve of in yourself. Compassion and empathy get people confused, right? Empathy just means I vibrate the same, I'm hurt the same way you are, or I'm happy the same way you are, and you're setting off a sympathetic vibration. Compassion is I may or may not be able to vibrate like you do, but I'm not going to judge you for it, and I understand one of the biggest truths, it is what it is. And we don't have to change every single thing we run into or heal it or fix it.
For me,
or
one of the
whatever.
things that really has helped me with my compassion, although I will say that I've always been one that I've tried to see other people's side of things. And that's because it helps me to grow.
Right.
The more I can learn and the more perspectives I can see, the more I can understand. And I've always been the type of worker, like when I work somewhere, okay, you're telling me to do this task. How does it fit in with everything else? Because if I understand the whole picture, then I can do a better job. And I know when something's not going to.
Compartmentalization does not work for you.
Right. No, not at all. I am,
You're
I'm
holistic.
big on,
You're holistic. Yeah.
So, but one thing is, and I struggled with for a long time, oh, this is bad, that's good, bad, getting, and realizing and learning that there is no good and bad, that is a 3D ego-based judgment and value. Yeah. And so when I think, okay, when I start thinking, oh, that's bad, I a lot of times I'm even now I'm talking to people and I'll say something and I'll go, well, that's not really bad. It's not good either, but it just is. And
your lingo starts changing.
Yeah. And I'll say, well, for lack of a better word, that's good or that's bad, or, that tastes good or that tastes bad. And well, in my opinion, for my taste buds, this is more
right.
Acceptable. But recognizing and when you it's all coming in and I can't get it out.
Comments, people are saying yes, they're getting it.
Yeah. Okay, good. Because like when you look at the traditional indoctrinated values of, you need to be good or you need to be bad, or, but then at the same token, there's the scripture and all that says you can't, God's the only one that can judge us. But yet we're still judging, and I say we in the loose form as in people out in the world, will quickly judge people for being good or bad, and in the same breath say, God's going to judge you for that. No. It doesn't work that way. And so when you realize that even a person that you might have at one point considered the worst of the worst, somebody who's in jail for murder,
or value that you do not possess.
Yeah, they've got a story. Everybody has a story.
There's a backstory behind it all.
Perspective. And it isn't our place to judge, because that's a human 3D thing. So we let it go. And then suddenly, I've got compassion for that person.
Randy named it earlier. It's called ego.
Yeah.
And when you let go of that, your sense of freedom, personal freedom,
Boom. Yeah.
booyah, it goes through the roof.
It is
And
tremendous.
it's tremendous. Angela makes a really, she makes a long comment that's very useful. Removing the cultural, that's good, I ran the words together. Removing the socio-cultural conditioning that our egos have written over our souls, which are the one truth, we've been cut off from ourselves.
We've cut ourselves off.
Well,
Yeah.
we were guided to do that. So
From.
we
Yeah.
were told to value cutting yourself off from your soul, which is
Yeah.
why you have atheism and agnosticism are so widespread. Because we've been told to devalue that, to devalue what we cannot touch, smell, and see. Guilt is fear-based, yes,
Oh, sure.
and that's and detachment is one way that people handle that. Those are some more comments that Randy made. And guilt is always fear-based. Anger is always fear-based. Anger is actually an extreme expression of abject fear.
Do you know this is just a little fact that I learned many years ago, and it fits right in here, and it's just an interesting comparison to maybe help.
Yeah.
Okay, we have nerves in our body, and when you feel a tickle or you feel pain, a tickle, an itch, and a pain are the same nerve. It's just the amount of aggravation. So a tickle,
How much stimulus you got going on there?
a tickle, an itch, or pain is the same nerves.
I can refute that to a point. There are different nerves set at different depths to perceive a touch versus pressure. But outside of that, yeah, a tickle can be the same as an itch, depending on context, how you perceive it, the intensity, your socio-cultural conditioning, all that good stuff. BDSM, bondage, discipline, sadomasochism. Is that what you're talking about,
And
Angela?
dominance and submission.
Yeah, dominance and submission. This is why some people enjoy, really intense sex lives that involve bondage and sadism, and so on. And other people that freaks them out to even mention it, much less do that.
Well, that's conditioning too.
Mm-hmm. That's 100% social conditioning, and values, and whatever your values are. So, and pain can be a pleasure for some people. Absolutely. So, yeah, this went way out in the field real quick. This is cool. So I want to kind of rope us back in because we're getting close to the end of our time. I wanted to sort of swing this back around to sort of close it up. And Iris, what do you conclude about all of our studies and conversations about truth versus fact, versus lie versus deception versus values versus the ego?
To me, the ultimate out of all of this is when people are using those words, they have different perceptions on what those words mean, just as we saw in the dictionary, where they're equating truth and fact, where other people don't equate the two. That fact is a fact is a fact, and truth is based on perception.
Truth is acceptable, fact is provable. Right.
Right. Versus a dictionary who says, well, you can't. So people have different levels of what those mean. And when we see it from other people, in memes, in news stories, from anybody who's talking to us and going, well, this is the truth or this is fact. And you have to realize you need multiple
reference
either you need
points.
multiple reference points and you need to investigate, or let it go. Does it really matter in the big picture? You know, it's like there are some times where I'll be looking something up and I go, oh, to hell with it. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to ignore it because it's not going to change anything anyway.
It really
And
helps. How important is it?
Yeah.
Is it going to make a difference a year from now or not? If it's not going to make a difference a year from now, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of like the clothes in your closet. If you hadn't worn them for a year, you're supposed to let them go. If they haven't changed your life in a year, let them go.
I use a 2-year cycle for that particular closet plucking. So, Randy says it was fun and hugs and love and truth for pretty much everything. Yes. And everything can be a truth and everything can be a deception. You have to go with where your value system is at that point and learn compassion so that you can be okay with other people having a different truth in the exact same moment, in the exact same time frame you do.
And that's when we all create our own reality.
There's no competition. It's all cooperation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cooperation and we all create our own reality on top of that.
Which we've been doing for millions of years. So, but yeah, open your eyes to that little piece, nugget of truth / value / belief / truth / everything. Yeah. So, what's happening next week, Miss Iris?
Next week, I'm gonna throw this up here. Angela is going to be my guest because Margot has another wedding. So we're, you know, while we've got people that are doing their blissful thing and she's guiding them through that, Angela and I are going to chew the fat. And Margot's given me some background on Angela and talked about what a delightful person she is. I don't know her personally.
You will.
So yeah, I will. And she's got an interesting background, a lot of different things. And she is, let's see, you said she's funny, intelligent, speaks her own truth freely.
Yes.
And so we're going to learn about Angela and her background. And in the process, we're going to see where the conversation takes us. So she's going to
Angela has a lot to share. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just going to have fun and talk about all kinds of things. So
I find Angela to be very philosophical, but in a unusual, quirky way. The girl is quantum as hell. She's really, really cool. And on top of that, she always is coming from heart, even when it's perhaps a dark or negative topic, with something we might qualify as that. Angela still does it from a sense of humor and a sense of heart. She is terrific. She does not pull punches. However, she does have terrific punch lines.
Yes, so what does she do?
Angela wrote, she's on here, Angela Nix, and she wrote, woohoo, can't wait. Angela, I do not know what occupies your time right now. If you feel like saying so in the comments about what you're doing to link the hours together, what occupies you, your occupation now? Yeah, we've got a delay between what you guys write in the comments and what we say.
And Randy says quirky is delightful, so thank you for that, Randy.
Absolutely. So
yeah, and
that's a perfect word for her. Yeah.
So regardless,
well, you'll find out. Come back next week and find out what this magic lady does.
Living La Vida Loca,
baby.
Okay, so there you go. You just got a flavor of what you're in for next week. We are going to talk about La Vida Loca. I can relate.
Absolutely. Angela
So-
enjoys a variety of spiritual practices. She's highly intuitive as well. She's a little powerhouse, and she's fat. She's heartwarming and hilarious and heartwarming all the time. I love it. So you guys have fun.
Yes.
I'm going to be making beautiful pictures of people getting hitched on the beach.
Yay!
And I will be back the week after. No, I won't. I'll be back 2 weeks later because we got to marry somebody next week too. So
she's going to be on for 2 weeks, but we're going to miss you, but we're going to have some fun pulling in some other people. And
fresh air is always good for any kind of broadcast. So I'm happy to be a part of Stepping Back. We've got more beautiful guests that have agreed to come on as well. And Iris will regale you with that as we go. Yeah. So thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. We love you too.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a good week, and we'll see you this time next week.
Namaste.
Thank you for joining The Eyes of Indigo with Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Music is Arcadia by Kevin MacLeod of Incomptech.com, licensed under Creative Commons. Visit our Facebook page for broadcast details, www.facebook.com/eyesofindigo. Show is copyrighted 2021 by Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears, all rights reserved.